Welcome to snowy and beautiful Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. We are in the PMG 777-300, and I know my gain volume is too loud. I don't know what I'm doing. I've been trying, a bunch of my guys have been telling me to turn it down, and I've been trying, but I am pretty new to the Microsoft Flight Simulator world, and certainly I'm really new to Prepare 3D, and I'm very new to YouTube. So what am I doing here? Well, if you don't know me, I'm Bob the Time, and I've been flying for the airlines for 36 years, the Air Force before that. I retire in September. This is an Icing profile on the 777. I've done a pre-flight start, taxi, takeoff, non-ILS, engine, heavyweight engine out. This is the Icing profile. I divided into two things. I'll do the Icing pushback, start, taxi to the deicing area, which, let me see if I can show it to you, is over here. I don't know if you've ever been to Minneapolis-St. Paul, but oh my God, their operation is just fantastic. They line up the trucks. We're going to push back, taxi out Bravo back in here, and they'll give us one of our lines, which I'll show you. They'll de-ice us. It's not going to be such the case today. We're not going to be able to simulate it, but it's unbelievably efficient. I also bought the Kennedy, we're going to go to Kennedy, by the way, package, and the Minneapolis-St. Paul package. So the scenery is pretty spectacular. I did, however, park us at a medium gate versus a heavy gate, and as you can see, well, as you can see, I hope you can see, we're parked into the terminal. But it looks like they got the jet bridge all pulled back, and we're all buckled up, ready for pushback. Now, we have to de-ice the engines. Sometimes you de-ice at the gate, you de-ice from type 1, anti-ice from type 4, then push back. Sometimes you push back and de-ice type 1, then type 4 off the gate. And other times, you got to taxi to the de-icing area, which is the case today. So we're going to have to start engines to taxi over there. So therefore, we're not going to touch the flaps until we're done de-icing and anti-icing. But we are going to have the engines de-ice so that we don't shed on the engines. And we'll taxi out there with the engine ice on. We'll de-ice with the engines that idle but running. And I'll show you a little bit about the anti-icing app we have. It's called the HOT app to determine your holdover time. And it's a checklist for configuring the aircraft, reconfiguring the aircraft. It's a nice airport. Okay, let's go back inside before I forget what I'm doing. So anyway, I apologize in advance for my primitive nature of my presentation relative to a lot of guys. All right, so we're at the gate. They've squirted our engines, so we're not going to shell them. We're going to push off and start engines, and here we go. So I'm going to tell the guy, see here, do our little handy-dandy checklist, right? For taxi, anti-ice, nope, we're all done. So we're already up to taxi checklist. Engine out, by the way, is 1642. There is no engine out procedure. Our takeoff brief is complete. We talked about the de-icing, which we've got the, make sure the guy is familiar. We do it at the hotel, on the bus, or in operations with the anti-icing procedures and how to use the HOT app. Sometimes you go a whole year without using it. Sometimes you use it 10 times a year. Our clearance is runway heading, which is 124 up to 5,000, eventually flying the Coulter out to Delta Lima Lima and Lendy into Kennedy for the ILS 4 right. That's the plan. It's in the box. I use SimBrief to load that. 151 is our B2. All the switches are on. And as you can see, we have heading, toga, VNAV, and 12 right is selected. Let me show you where we are. Quiet. We're right here where this taxi diagram is wrong. I ended up putting this over here on this side. So we're just going to push back, attempt with the pushback app that comes with the PMDG. I guess I got to get a GSX. One of my guys told me to get that. But this morning I want to knock this out. So we're going to push back, nose to left, tail to the east, taxi out Bravo. and we'll get our de-icing assignment and de-icing pad right there. If you need a little closer look, we'll be here, Bravo, into the de-icing pad. Okay, that's the plan. Once we get out there, we'll configure our hot app for Minneapolis, St. Paul, -5, moderate snow with rain or drizzle, and type 4, and we'll see how it goes. We'll get our holdover time, and we'll get the clock started. This is our configuration for de-icing. We'll go through that checklist. When it's ready, everything we have to know is here. We'll go over some of it on the way out. And when we need a pre-takeoff check, a pre-contamination check, when we have to run the engines up, when we have to do a ice shedding procedure, all that stuff is in here, and we would actually review that prior to going out, taxiing out. So it's a great app, but we'll talk about some of it as we get out there. Anyway, let's go back to the videotape here. Man, I wish I could fix the noise. Okay, I would tell the guy, please call for pushback. In Minneapolis, ground, this is Father Time 123 Heavy, requesting pushback information, Bravo, and Foxtrot 6. At Father Time 123 Heavy, we're clear to push, we're going up on a 12 right. Let's have you face west, please. Clear to push, Foxtrot 6, going to 12 right, face west, Father Time 123 Heavy. Alright guys, let's go in here, use this app. I don't have the GSX yet, guys. This, pushback, connect the tug. Let's see, push style is going to be self-drive, no. I don't know how to do it, straight out, no. Nose left. Standard L, got the, I don't know what that is, plus T. You know what, we just go straight back. I wanted to do nose left. It's not letting me, it's going to connect the tug. There we go. Nose left. Yeah, let's try that. Left 90 degrees. I don't know. Right? Call him.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our right.
Copy that. Ready to push. Tail to the right. Parking brakes release, please.
All right, before we do that, we come up here, turn on the right electric. A lot of airlines wait for that fault light to go out. This is so that you don't transfer fluid between the systems. We had the same issue on the 7.6, and then they go like this. Other airlines just do a loop, wax on, wax off. When you turn them off, they go the opposite way, this way. We don't have any fuel in the center, so we don't have to turn on the center tank pumps. Beacons on, and full pushback checklist is complete. Parking brakes. You know what? Yeah, Mr. Bat Fingers here. Tendency to click around. It won't be the last time I do it on this video. Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm so new to this whole game that click pretty much anywhere unaccosted. Let's see how this push goes. Let's walk outside. Let's take the time to look outside.
Brakes released, here we go.
Alright, it's going to be a miracle. So what I want him to do, what I thought I programmed him to do, is to turn the tail to our right, nose to the left. Let's see how they do. Looks like it's moving ever so slowly, huh? Yeah, I guess I got to get that GSX app. I just didn't feel like learning a new system this morning. Yeah, so we're going to have to start engines off the gate and taxi out. We're not going to lower the flaps. We're not going to do anything. Hey, he's turning beautiful. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. Now we are in the 37 degree range. So if it's -3 Celsius, we're at -7 or less. We have to run up the engines for the 50% for 1 second every 60 minutes. Or in the 300, which you're in, it's as high a thrust as possible. Now, do we need de-icing? Obviously we do now, but normally we look for 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, visible moisture, visibility a mile or less. Let's go, or the taxiways or ramps are congested with snow. See here, you know what's funny is, can't see my
Pushback
cursor.
complete. Parking brake set.
That worked out pretty well, whatever you say.
Brake set.
All right, they should be leaving. I think I can go in here and
Steering pin is pulled. Watch for the salute and release from guidance on your right. Have a good flight.
see if he went away. Yeah, went away. Go ahead and start. Okay, so the engines have been de-iced. We have contaminated runway. We'd be looking for that too. Contaminated runway is when you have more than 25% of what you think is going to be the usable runway contaminated. Whatever you think you're going to use, the required field length, and it's covered with standing water, slush, compacted snow, or wet snow. I'm reading now, more than 1/8 of an inch deep. So we've got contaminated runway data. It's loaded in the box. V1's down around 117. Big thing is you want to make sure you didn't rotate early. And you know, with contaminated runway, you use a max power, full TO, not TO1 or TO2, and you can't take a tailwind, no improved performance. So that's it. So let's come back in here, get it started, and all right. So brakes are set. We're clear to start the left engine now. On the 300, you have to start one at a time. So left engine's first. So you tell the FO clear to start the left engine, and you don't let your big fat fingers touch everything. I picked this Minneapolis because they have a great de-icing operation, and I could buy the airport package for 10 a.m. Minneapolis. I should have engine displayed here so we can watch the oil pressure come up. Now, super cold weather, oil pressure might be a little slow to come up, but just remember the 777 has an auto start that'll shut it down for certain things. Certainly oil pressure would be one of them, and it would not attempt to restart if the oil pressure didn't rise. Other things that will try to restart automatically. When that red tick goes away, you have a full start. You just heard the start valve close. 2, 4, 6, and 8 the oil. So the 8 went from 25 to 21. And now today, we have to come up, put on the engine ice. So in the air, the engine ice is automatic. You put it to auto when icing conditions no longer exist. And they'll come on and off these little ice detections up on the nose area. All right, so we can go, and that's a good start on the left. Good to start the right. Now the 200, we can start them both at the same time, which is fantastic. Bring the fuel lever right up. There's no minimum N1, N2. It's all automatic, baby. Now we're not going to touch the flaps. We're not going to do anything with the before takeoff checklist until we are de-iced. Remember, we get that when we get out on the runway, we need to tell tower, we need to run the engines up. Prior to takeoff, run stabilize, check the vibration on the 300. They want us to bring the thrust up as high as possible on the runway. Make sure that the vibrations are below 4. They want us to use flaps 15 if possible, which in fact we'll be doing. You have these conditions. All right, so there we go. The little red tick disappeared. 2, 4, 6, and then 8 the oil, we're down to 21, right? And we're going to go up here. Normally we lower the flaps and do everything. Not today. So we're going to put on the engine ice. Engine ice is on. And if you take a look at the N1, you can see EAI. Now, when you're in automatic, you see that, you'll know it's engine ice is on in flight. Rarely comes on. Boeing actually tried to get it certified without having an engine ice wing anti-ice system. They were so confident. Okay, so let's do the before taxi check, but I don't think there's much to talk about. Anti-ice is on, recall. Yeah, you can watch my other videos if you want. The plane's been out for a while. Recall, hold that. Check here, right? It's good. Everything we know about. And recall is good. Flight controls. Hopefully they work. I've been having trouble with this prepared 3D, but ground equipment's cleared. We'll do the rest of this later when we get out there, okay? All right, I say, my friend, you can call me taxi. Yeah, Father Time, 1, 2, 3, off gate Foxtrot 6, request taxi to the de-icing area. Father Time, 123 Heavy, you're cleared to taxi straight ahead on Bravo, taxi to the de-icing area, contact Snowbird, monitor ground, and contact Snowbird on frequency 129.32. Okay, straight ahead on Bravo, taxi to the de-icing area. Monitor ground, contact Snowbird 129.32, proper time 123. Alright, so parking brakes are going to get off. I don't have my key bindings all great on this. I'm so new to this platform. I'm getting there though. I'm liking it. First I get in and I thought it was not great, but I'm pretty impressed. Alright, so here we go. There's some traffic out there. I have collision on with ground objects, traffic, so if we hit anything, we're done. I'd like to get this, I'll take it, and I'm going to pause this video when we get up to cruise altitude, or probably passing around 10,000, and direct in LNAV, DNAV, and I'll pick it back up if we start our star for our Cat 3 in the weather, in the snow. It's a nor'easter, by the way. I'm going to call it a nor'easter. I called this moderate snow. Certain conditions that you can't go with moderate ice pellets. Just no data for it. Safe wing, 100% is what they're going to do. They're going to de-ice us with type 1 all around the wings and tail, get the ice off the airplane, and then anti-ices with type 4. Now on these 777s, if you go to Europe, you got 3 guys, 4 guys to LA and long haul, but on these little flights here, like Minneapolis to New York, we'd only have 2. But it's easy to delegate a lot of things in an abnormal, even normal. We could have right now the FB. We have extremely experienced crews on these. This is Bravo, by the way, with the taxi. And I would monitor ground. I'd have him get over, get our assignment from Snowbird. I'd have but I come on. Remember, the sterile period, you can't, below 10,000 feet, after the brakes are released, you can't make anything that's not an operational announcement. As long as the parking brakes are released on the ground up to 10,000 feet. But we just... that would not have been good. Like I say, I do have the crash dealie on. That looks good out there. I'm learning this Prepare 3D. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to do this like it's an active runway. Like no one else is trying to kill us, right? Alright, let's do this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's Father Time, the captain. We're taxiing into the icing area. Obviously today it's snowing, so we're going to go out there and we're going to stop the aircraft. We're going to spray us with first the de-icing fluid and take all the fluid off the wing, then an anti-ice fluid, which will be kind of a green hue to it. The viscosity is pretty thick on the wings. That keeps snow from further gathering on the wings. Just take about 10 or 15 minutes, then be on the way to New York. We're expecting an on-time arrival. Welcome aboard. I say, okay, boss, I'm going to monitor ground. Why don't you go ahead and contact Snowbird for me on 2932. Hey, Snowbird, this is Father Time 123 Heavy. Approaching the de-icing pad. How you doing? Yeah, Father Time 123 Heavy. We're going to put you in spot 326, sir. And We'll talk to you when you get there, pulling the 326. And we're going to leave the engines running. Okay, we'll leave our engines running, idle power, pulling the spot 326 for father time 123. All right, boss, you wanted us in spot 326. 326, okay. Now, guys, remember, every 60 minutes, we've got moderate snow here. We have to run the engines up for 67 because it's below. If we had freezing rain or freezing fog, it would be ice shedding, bring them up to 60% for 1 second. And we're going to have to do the highest parts of practical on the runway, check the vibration before. Those are the things we're talking about. Right now, the first officer has their Icing app open and getting ready for the configuration checklist. All right, we're going to pretend that this is spot 326. We see all the Icing vehicles over there. Minneapolis is one unbelievable operation. You have trucks to pull in. You got your own crew ready to roll. It's pretty darn cool. Yes, this is part like 5 of my 777 stuff. So I'm pretty qualified to do this stuff since I do fly it actively, at least until September, right? Been flying it for around 6 years all around the world. All right, here we go. I've not figured the brakes out yet. I'm having trouble getting my rudder pedals to work, so set the brakes. And Father Time 123 heavy. This is Snowbird. Prepare your aircraft for de-icing. Father Time 123 heavy. Prepare the aircraft for de-icing. All right, guys, if you remember, we talked about that earlier. It's going to be, that's after de-icing. It's reconfiguration, de-icing. It's going to be parking brake set. APU is going to be on. Passengers notify. We already did that. Broadband switch off. Say we did that. De-icing fluid is exterior. Yep. Pack switches off. Engines running. Yes. Bleed switches off. So packs and bleeds. APU running. Yes. Yeah, that would have been a yes. No, it's actually going to be a no. So the APU bleed has to go off too. We'll come back and do that, and flaps are up, and then we'll notify them. I just thought I'd show you that. Let's get the noise back up. Sure hope my volume's better. I tried adjusting. All right, let's get the APU shutting down because we're going to leave the engines going. Something we could have done. Another thing we should have done is put my taxi in on the taxi. But okay, what did we say here? We said packs off. Packs off. Bleeds off. APU bleed off. All right, Captain, the configuration deviation. The aircraft is configured for the icing. All right, I'll talk to him. Snowbird, this is Father Time 123 heavy. Our aircraft is prepared for de-icing. Okay, Father Time, thanks a lot, Snowbird. We're going to do Type 1 first, sir, and then we'll be de-icing you with safe wing 100% for the Type 4. It's going to take probably about 10 minutes. Okay, Father Time, sounds good. Well, remember, we're not leaving here till we do our full before takeoff checklist, taxi checklist. Yeah, contaminated runway. So more than 25% of required fuel, like, here's something you should know. A lot of times, the tower does not consider the runway contaminated. You get out there, and it is, because the conditions are changing so rapidly. Pilots very often make the braking action calls. They make the contaminated runway calls. So you can't just go by ATIS or what tower says. Sometimes you get out there and say, this is contaminated. You might have to pull over and get some contaminated data and get that V1 lowered. You're going to use max thrust and no improved performance, and takeoff's not authorized with tailwind. We've got our contaminated runway data. We're going to use flaps 15 for takeoff once we get the ice. And it's below 37, so we got to go to 50% for 1 second every 60 minutes. But we're going to be well under that. Beautiful thing about Minneapolis is you're right near the end of the runway, so your holdover time doesn't expire. But the way the holdover time works, let me show you that while the de-icing is out there. They're going to reconfigure. We'll reconfigure ourselves for after they finish de-icing, and then they told us They're going to do type 4 safe wing, so we got 45 minutes up to 100 minutes. This is just moderate snow. So 45 minutes, they'll give us the time they started the holdover time, and we got 45 minutes. If we don't get off within 45 minutes, we have to do a, let's go here, hold on. I'm getting there. A takeoff cockpit check. That's where you just get out of your seat, go look over the wings, and check the wings on both sides. But if we hit the top of our holdover, in this case it's going to be 100 minutes, we've got to have a certified de-icer do our contamination check and take off within 5 minutes. Now, if somewhere in here the precip stopped, which it's not going to, we would have to, the holdover time would no longer apply. You're all good to go. Here's that stuff about any ice, 3 degrees, 50% for 1 second every 60 minutes. And then you do the run up as high a thrust as possible. Light or moderate ice pellets, type 4 is required. Heavy snow, type 4 is required. No holdovers. So there's all sorts of stuff in this briefing guide. Let's go back to the videotape. All right, they're done de-icing. All right, Father Time, 123 Heavy. This is your certified de-icer. Employee number 12964. You are de-iced with type 4 safe wing, and de-iced with type 4 safe wing, sir, I'm sorry, and 100%. And its holdover time started at 1734. 1734 holdover time, and I'll copy all that. Thanks a lot, Snowbird. Father Time, 123 Heavy. Have a good day, sir. And so now we wait a couple of minutes because all that de-icing fluid is up in the valves, and then we run the reconfiguration checklist, which I showed you. Basically, turn the bleeds and packs back on, APU bleed, auto, broadband switch back on, packs and flaps. They want us to delay just prior to takeoff, and that's so we don't contaminate it. All right, I think we're done with that, don't you? Simulated de-icing is complete. So it's been a couple of minutes. We'll reset the packs. Just if you need, put an auto. APU is secured. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Father Time, your captain. They've completed de-icing. We'll be taxiing out to takeoff from Minneapolis. Thank you for your patience. Flight attendants prepare to take off, please. They are so happy. Everything is good. We'll look over here. No one's going to hit us today. Okay, we'll go to the end of the runway. We'll tell Tower we're going to need to go to the end of the runway before we lower our flap speed. Okay, Father Time 123 Heavy, taxi to the holding point, runway 12 right. Taxi holding point 12 right, Father Time 123 Heavy. So before taxi, flight controls we got to get when we get out there. So we're going to go to the end of the runway before we do any of this. I have got to get rid of my sloppy fingers. The orbit is moving because I haven't moved. Come on. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh my goodness gracious. You don't arm these for takeoff, by the way. 777. My man, you little fella. There we go. Now I'm going to look down here. While I'm here, takeoff setting. I'm going to set that because we're about to do it. I'm going to go to the takeoff page here before we taxi. Takeoff settings 4.0. So 4.0. Pitch trim. Sorry you had to see that. Oh, holy. My park brakes are off. Yeah, I gotta get better at this Prepare 3D. I think we're gonna taxi now. No one's coming. I also gotta learn how to set my views up on Prepare 3D. I'm not gonna talk to you much about taxiing other than in ice and snow. Normally you can corner at 10 knots in this bad boy. But really, you got to be down around 5 knots, which especially when you're clearing the runway, when you even taxiing or in a slide, the nose gear will just scrub. If you get that nose gear cocked to full deflection at 70 degrees, there's a good chance it's going to scrub and slide on you. But if you're slow enough, it's not going to be a big deal. You can see right now I'm actually at 10 knots. If you look down at my nav display, I can roll out here. I'll show you. I've said in my other videos, but where's your nose gear? The nose gear is wherever the speed tape is right here on the Boeings. Airbus, it's in between the PMD and the ND. We do have a camera on here. If you haven't seen my videos before, or you don't know that, the camera's over here. You put it on, and it'll show the nose gear. I personally don't use it. I'm flying it long enough where I know where my nose gear is. But it's a good little tool. It's only under 300. It's got a nose gear light too, so you could use it at night. Not allowed to use it for takeoff and landing. All right, so every 60 minutes, we'd have to bring our. Now we're in the ice shedding area. Let's say we had freezing fog for 1 second, or 30 seconds, up to 60% every 60 minutes, 50% for every 60 minutes. We're in a 300, so when we get on the runway, we tell Tower we're going to need to sit there for a little while. What we're going to be doing is checking our vibration on the engine page, which we'll get up in a minute. Make sure it's below 4. You got the engine ice on. We can turn it off when we get out of icing conditions, or turn it to auto. All right, we're going to tell them when we get out here that we're going to need a couple minutes. And by the time Minneapolis Tower, be advised at the end of the runway, once on the runway, we'll need time to run the engines up. We also need a little time out here just to run the flight control checks and get the flaps out. Well, actually, Father Time 123 Heavy, you're the only aircraft on the airfield. I think, guys, we need to go out here. You are cleared into position and hold. Advise us when you're ready. All right, position and hold, Father Time 123 Heavy, and we'll advise. Let's go out here. Near the bottom of the left-hand side window, and that is lined up with the runway. That's your 90-degree turn. I'm just going to do it here from the cockpit. View. Yeah, I got to work out. I was pretty good at Microsoft Flight Sim. I was getting much better at panning back and forth on the views. All right, so we have contaminated runways and taxiways. We've got the data for that. We're out here. Why don't you want to put the flaps out early?
Flaps.
Yeah, we know, my friend. That's one of those things I need to deactivate. Okay, so let's go flaps 15, please. All right, RTO, flaps 15, engine ice is on. Flight control check, let's do it. All right, full motion. Uh-oh. My flight control's not working. This could be the end of this demo, but it's good enough. Hang on 1 second, let me get my brakes parked. And see if I can get them working. Rudder pedals are working. Yeah. But I don't think, let me go outside and check this. I don't think my flight controls. That's okay, because this is what I want to do anyway. Yeah, they are working. The yoke wasn't moving, but they are working out there. That's okay. PMDG, you guys rock. I mean, I dice. If you ever watch any of my videos, I have recurrent training. It's my last one coming up in May, and I could absolutely prepare for recurrent training on this airplane, and I have been. Everything I'm doing is preparing. I'm going to need to learn to taxi better. That's for darn sure, though. Okay, let's take off. We'll go fly and go back in the cockpit. And remember, I got to do the run up. And Tower knows about that. Okay, Tower. And we're going to do this. We're going to say flight attendant prepare for takeoff. And when takeoff is imminent, we can ding the bell, and we're going to park brakes released. I'll just hold the brakes. Okay. Somebody taught me a trick for the altimeter setting in Barrow. How to change that. You can figure out how I can move the speed brake faster. That'd be awesome. All right, ground equipment's clear. Ford taxi check is complete. And okay. Come on, guys. Right? And okay, we're good. Let's do this. Try not to do any more spastic moves. All right, tower. Father time 123 heavy. We're ready to take off. We just got to run the power up for a little while. Father time 123 heavy. You are clear for takeoff. You're the only aircraft out here. Your discretion. Father time 123 heavy. All right, guys. So we're going to bring the power up to as high a thrust as possible. I'm really not going to worry about getting up too high. And we're checking the vibration, engine vibration, which is down here, and making sure that's below 4. It's not even at 1. It's great. I want to get it up to at least 50%. It's kind of a nice shedding, and the 300 we're making sure we're below 4, which we are. Let's look out front before Captain Marvel lets go of the brakes. Let's go. And it's sliding. See the cockpit there, right? Let's token this bad boy. Let's go to New York.
Airspeed alive.
Yeah, your airspeed's alive. Okay. Let's go on the runway. Center
80
line.
knots.
And then check.
Z1.
Rotate. B2. Positive rate of climb.
Yeah, gear up, please. And a little pilot off in 2 video. John rather. We usually hand fly it up to 10,000 feet or higher. But, okay. So, 1,000 feet AGL. And engine out, by the way, was 1642. Start getting the flaps up. Flaps 5. We're past flaps 5, so we get flaps 1. Father time 123 heavy, Minneapolis Tower, contact departure 35.9. Good day, sir. Thanks for your help. Father time 123 heavy, 35.9. Flaps up, please. Minneapolis departure is Father time 123 heavy, leveling at 5,000. Roger, Father time 123 heavy, climb and maintain flight level 200. If I maintain flight level 200, Father time 123 heavy. So I put 200 in the window and I pressed it to rearm it and then level. Let's go. VNAV and Father time 123 heavy, Minneapolis. How's the ride out? Climb out. Father time 123 heavy. It's nice, sir. Alright, you're cleared direct to Delta Lima Lima. Cleared direct Delta Lima Lima. Father time 123. So we put it up in 1L, we say, how does that look? The other guy says, good. Execute it, but it's not doing what we want yet, right? We have to go up here and do LNAV. And I'm pretty comfortable going into auto mode on the engine ice. Great system. It just comes on and off as you need it. All right, we have to take our climb checklist, please. Gears up, flaps up. And hit the checklist button. Takeoff checklist is complete. Alright, guys, that's it. I'm going to come back. I'm going to let this fly the profile. I'm going to go see my wife, have a cup of coffee. But you need to know that stuff, right? And I'll come back on for the Star into Kennedy for the ILS 4 right, will be the Lendy arrival. Alright, it's Father time. We're coming out of 10. We'll do this first before you go. Up here, cycle this, sterile cockpit is over, and the airplane is accelerating to 317, LNAV, BNAV, and it was good. Alright, that's great. Hope you enjoyed that, and Father time 123 heavy is out.